Hi, and thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the last 4 days of this Restart Your Career Journey 5 day challenge. I hope it's been of value to you. Today's the last day. The first day was getting clear about your purpose, your why, the reason you want to make a change, and the benefits of doing that for you. The second day was tips on completing your CV, what should be in it and what shouldn't be in it. The third day was writing a cover letter, which serves as your personal marketing tool. And yesterday was tidying up your LinkedIn and your social media, because that's where recruiters will look you up. So now, during this process, you'll be in a much better position to be offered an interview. Doesn't mean you're going to be guaranteed an interview, but what it does is it places you in a position to use the best practice to make sure that you maximize every advantage available to you during this particular process. So hopefully, at this stage now, you've been offered an opportunity for interview. I'm not saying today, but once you've followed this process. So you're now a candidate. You've moved from an applicant to candidate, and congratulations to you for doing that. What that means now is that it's your opportunity to talk yourself out of the job. But we're not gonna let you do that. Okay. The interview is really part of the process where you get to show a potential employer who you are and can clearly talk about what you can do for them. And it's an opportunity to represent yourself in person, face to face. Now, you might think this is harsh, what I'm going to tell you now, but people will make their mind up about you within 7 seconds of meeting you, or within 5 minutes of an interview. That's 7 seconds. That means that first impressions count. They are absolutely vital. The rest of the interview will reflect how well you've prepared for it. See? So let's talk about preparing for your interview. This is going to be about 10 minutes, maybe less. Anyway, whilst dress really does depend on the role that you're interviewing for, you don't know the type of person who's interviewing you. So dress to impress rather than have to beg forgiveness. This isn't the time or place to express yourself. Okay, you're in an interview, and I do appreciate that the times that we're in, and people have rights and they have views, etc., and that's absolutely fine. But if you really, really want the job, why take unnecessary risks? Maintain your identity or your personality, because that's who they're recruiting, but try to neutralize some of it if your look is, in your view, a bit extreme, for instance. So, gents, that means a dark suit, preferably recently dry cleaned, a light shirt, plain tie if appropriate. They're becoming less of a requirement these days, but just dress smart. It doesn't have to be a suit. It could just be a trousers and a shirt, but a pair of trousers, not cut down jeans. Okay. Again, it depends on the role. I wore a tie at my last interview a few years ago, and asked if I could take it off when I saw the interviewers weren't wearing one, and they were absolutely cool with that. See, better to beg forgiveness afterwards. Black polished shoes. That's just me, but this isn't the time for self-expression. If you don't want to, then absolutely fair enough. But at least make sure it's shoes and not trainers. Even if it's a job where you wear trainers or boots or something like that, just go prepared. Okay. Plain dark socks. I remember when I was interviewing a good few years ago, one candidate wore a plain blue suit, white shirt, tie. They looked the part. And when he crossed his legs, I was met with the sight of a Dennis the Menace socks. And for a few seconds, I wasn't really listening to what he had to say. I was thinking about his socks. So close. Keep jewelry to a minimum. By that, I mean, don't turn up like Mr. T. Okay, there's no need. Just, keep it covered if you can. And ladies, a dark business suit or similar. Again, dry cleaned recently. Light smart top, hair smart, makeup and jewelry. All of that is at your own discretion. I know, I know. People don't like being told what to wear or how to look, and it's a personal choice. But interviewers are people, and some may have their own small bigotries or unconscious biases and isms and blah blah blah. So for the sake of an hour, let's not feed them. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this so many times through these last 5 days. Do your research. Find out about the company for your interview. For instance, if you're more liberally minded when it comes to your dress and your attire, and you're happy to wear a sleeve of tattoos and big pieces in your ears or your nose or your tongue or your lip. That's entirely up to you. That's your business. But perhaps you don't go for an interview with a conservative type company if you choose to not be flexible about that for the interview. So be pragmatic. You want to step into someone else's world, so you may have to take steps to fit in at first. That's the first thing that I just wanted to say on that about first impressions. Okay, it's not an opinion. That's just the world that we live in. Obviously, you need to be yourself. You need to be authentic. But as I said, it depends on how much you want the job. The interviewer will be forming an opinion in that time. So what opinion do you want them to form? Okay, this is not me saying to you, this is how you should dress, this is what you should look like. I'm just saying put some thought into it based on the job that you're going for. I know it sounds obvious, but some people it isn't. They'll just throw on what they want to throw on and go to the interview. Okay, what's next? Okay, conduct yourself in a professional manner. Start as you intend to go on. If the interviewer or the interviewers arrive after you and you're already seated, then stand up and greet them and give them a firm handshake. As long as there's no coronavirus, obviously. I can tell a person personally from their handshake, and I'm not often proved wrong. So presume they do the same thing. Not strong handshake, just firm. Maintain eye contact. Don't glare at them. This ain't the film Scanners. But when you walk, so when you talk to them, look at the bridge of their nose if you're not comfortable with eye contact. Okay, so if you just look right there, you can do that all day long and be maintaining eye contact because it's the same look that you're giving. Okay, try it next time you speak to somebody and you'll see how easy it is. But what happens is when you do this, you're showing that you are listening to what they're saying. One of the greatest mistakes in an interview is appearing arrogant or uninterested. The employer wants to recruit enthusiastic people. So sell yourself in the interview. Believe that you're the best person for the job. If you don't, then the employer will believe that you come across this way all of the time. Listen to the questions that are being asked and answer them fully before offering a good example to support your answers. The questions being asked might come from things in your CV or your resume, depending on where you come from. But don't be afraid to tell the employer that you want the role and you've been impressed by it, okay? The employer or the interviewer is looking for someone to deliver to an objective. And it's been quoted by employers, and I've seen this online on a post I saw on LinkedIn a few months ago, that lots of candidates are unable to demonstrate how they can help an organization. Now, you got that covered because we worked through your CV on day 2, but they say that 57% say that the most detrimental mistake that one can really make in an interview that really hurts their chances is when candidates don't provide specific examples during an interview. That isn't going to happen to you, as I said before, because you've got examples in your applications, so you can talk around them. If you're asked about strength, you give them a strength and you give them an example of how you use that strength, and you can keep doing that for every question. For every answer, give an example that you can demonstrate, okay? As I said earlier before, it's about stories, yeah? It may be useful to take testimonials and references or achievements along as evidence. They might not see them, they might not take them, but have them there so that you can show them if you need to. The more you can prove or demonstrate, the better your chances will be. Remain positive for the interview, even if you feel it isn't going well or the job doesn't seem like it's right for you. You may change your mind, so give yourself the space to turn the position down if it's offered to you. And the skilled interviewer will ask you lots of what else type of questions. And you might think that you aren't answering the questions or not giving them what they want to hear. But that's not always the case, okay? What they're doing is asking questions in such a way as to get more information from you. Okay, what else have I got here? We've talked about researching the company on your application. And now that you've been offered an interview, you'll have done a deeper dive. So what do you know about the company and what they do? This question comes up a lot, either as an interview question or as an icebreaker, and your answer will demonstrate your interest or your desire to work for that particular organization. Plus, the more you know, the greater your confidence will be. So use their website, look on their about page, look at their history, look at their competitors, mission statements on their site. It tells you what they're aiming for as a business. And if it's for a senior role, check financial publications, share prices, and things like that. You'll know where to look for that kind of stuff. Now, your current position. You may be asked why you're leaving your current job, especially if it's in the same industry. So think about similarities between your existing employer and your potential employer. This can include why you'll be able to make an easy transition as what's different between attracting you to this new opportunity and staying where you are. And it's vital that you're familiar with the job spec. As we mentioned this many times on day 2 with the CV, and you have dissected it, you know what the job spec is, so you're going to be familiar with it, but it's important to take that into the interview. You need to know exactly what they're looking for so that you're able to highlight why you're the right person for the position. I mentioned yesterday about social media, and we're going to call this digital crap just for the purpose of this conversation. So something to bear in mind: LinkedIn, social networking sites and online searches are the latest way for employers to check out prospective employees. A survey on Career Builder showed that something like 45% of recruiting companies and employers use social networking sites to research candidates, and 35% of those employers found content that caused them to dismiss the candidate. So they were rejected. Boom, gone. See? That's how simple it is. So make sure you remove any photos, content, or links that can work against you in an employer's eyes. Finally, make sure you know the exact time and date and location of the interview. Be aware of the journey time and anything that could impact your travel. I once arrived 75 minutes late due to a broken down tube train. That was it, done. Not a thing I could do about it. What I should have done was gone a couple of hours earlier and then gone and had a cup of coffee somewhere. That was the learning for me. Do the same thing, honestly. Okay, now the sexy bit, the interview. Just run through this in a couple of minutes. Most interviews, if they're conducted properly, are competency-based interviews. What it is they're looking for evidence of your competency by the things you've done in the past, your ability to do things. This is why I say it's an opportunity during the interview to talk yourself out of it. If you did your homework, if you did the last 4 days worksheets, then you've got this. You might feel the need to do a Carlton dance now because I've just said that, but don't do it. Not yet, okay? They'll start with an icebreaker, and then if there's 2 of them interviewing you, one will ask general questions about working for the company, and the other will take you through more deeper competency-based questions from their HR perspective. It depends. Again, you've got it all covered. So the questions will be about your strengths, your development areas. Always turn those things into strengths, okay? Your why, and we did this on day 1. Why do you want the job? Why you? Why should they hire you? What's unique about you? They'll walk through your CV, as I just said, your rationale behind taking some of the jobs that you've had. You did all this in the first 2 days. So again, you've got this. Familiarize yourself with answering the 10 typical interview type questions that will be on the day 5 workbook so that you can download and do the work there. Now, I'm a qualified assessor and I'm 100% conversant with how this goes. Even with knowing that, it's still challenging to be the candidate. And the HR lead will ask you operational questions with some live examples, and then they'll ask you to walk through how you handle similar situations and what you do on your first day, on your first 2 months, your first 3 months, all of those kind of questions. And in these situations, be yourself, but think outside of the box, because they'll keep asking you, as I just said. They'll be asking you questions like, what else? What else? What else? This won't be because you gave a wrong answer. They just want to exhaust your ideas, test your creativity of thinking. Anyway, your task today is to prepare for interview. All right, list your strengths and give an example for each and every one. List 2 development areas, weaknesses, if for want of a better phrase, and an example of how you're addressing it and turning it into a strength. An example is that you hate cold calling. And whilst it isn't your job, you target yourself to do 2 a day, which has resulted in orders and increased customer satisfaction. Straight away, bang, that's how you do that. What else? Have an answer for all of the questions in the workbook, so you can download that shortly. You won't be asked all of them. In some cases, you won't be asked any of them, but be prepared. Remember what I said earlier on in this process. It's what we do before we do what we mean to do that makes all the difference. I'll be back again this evening for a special live at 7 p.m. with some great offers for you. You do not want to miss them. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye.